Hiya, welcome back to my studio, and today we're going to test out the Charbonnel Aqua Wash inks. Got a tin of it here, and this one's 55985 black, and it should act just the same as its oil-based equivalent. So we'll get some out. It smells the same, it looks pretty much the same. And it kind of acts the same as well. I like to move it about a little bit before we ink up. So there's quite a few water washable inks now coming out. There's Aqua Wash, and there's Caligo Safe Wash. They're both water based, wash away with water and soap. And now Charbonnel are kind of adding theirs to the range. And if you could smell it, it smells just like the oil-based version. It kind of feels pretty similar as well. Because it's a 55985 black, it's fairly stiff, it's fairly dark, it's quite tough to move around. But that's good because it means it's acting just like the oil-based equivalent. So this plate I've got here has just got two aqua tints on it, just to test the blacks and the tone and the textures and everything else can get out of the inks. So make sure I get that all over the plate. Okay, so dirty scrim first. I've been printing these all day, so hopefully getting the hang of them now. I'm just going to twist it into the plate, taking off the excess, and make sure the ink goes down into the grooves, all the recesses of the plate, all those textures made by the acid. There's lots of different ways to wipe a plate. At different universities and studios I've kind of been taught different ways to do it. And mainly I adopt Nigel Oxley's way from London Metropolitan University, but I've kind of added in different bits and bobs from Camberwell, learning stuff there as well, and also London Print Studio. Twisting it just seems quicker than wiping it, just to get the ink off the surface. So when it seems like got a fair amount of that stuff off, keep swapping the scrim around and start wiping. And yeah, this is a lot stiffer than the Caligo inks, and a hell of a lot stiffer than the Aqua inks, which are really runny. Up until now I've been using Caligo Safe Wash Black for my etchings here in the studio. But I found that they're quite high contrast and the black's quite impressive. The tonal range isn't that good, you kind of just get black and white, and anything in between seems to go either to black or to white. The Charbonnel inks, however, I'm hoping have a similarly good deep black, but also the tones in between black and then the paper. So now I'm just sort of moving the plate with my supporting hand and wiping it from the edge inwards with my right hand on the dirty scrim, just until I can sort of see the shine of the plate tone coming through. Start to see the image appearing. There's probably a quicker way to do this, but I like to have the control over every stage. So if I wanted to, I could sort of stop it now and print it. Don't want to take off too much. Okay, and then when that scrim's fairly full up, I go on to the slightly cleaner scrim. Everything's dirty in here. I'm just going to twist a little bit first, just so I can see the image on the plate. Move to a less inky part of that scrim, and then wipe. So yeah, I've kind of evolved quite a gentle wiping motion, taking off a little bit at a time, keeping the plate moving, so I try and cover the whole surface evenly with ink and just reacting to what I see happen on the surface as I do it. So I kind of know where the ink's going to hold in this plate now, and where there's sort of lighter areas that have to be more polished, areas where the plate's just the zinc without any sort of textures on there. So I try and focus the wiping a bit on those and try not to take too much out of the aqua tinted areas. Not pushing too hard all the time, it's quite a gentle wiping motion. It's mostly in the wrist. The nice thing about these Aqua Wash Charbonnel inks is it really does feel like you're just using your normal oil-based ink. It feels like you're just using Charbonnel 55985 back in the print room up at Camberwell. Can't really tell the difference while you're wiping it, which is quite nice. Whereas if you're using those Aqua inks, it's kind of everything seems washed out and faded and pale and runny and almost like it's too easy to wipe. It's kind of nice if you're in a hurry, you can quickly wax on, wax off sort of thing, but it doesn't feel like you're making an etching, I don't think. So we're kind of getting there now. I don't want to keep too much plate tone on this image. So I'm going to do a tissue wipe, just a little one. I found the Charbonnel Aqua Wash reacts well to the tissue wiping. The Calico Safe Wash inks tend to smudge a little bit more when you tissue wipe. And the Aqua inks kind of, you can just wipe it away completely or leave kind of little circular marks that are quite weird on the plate surface. But these seem fairly controlled, all credit to Charbonnel. They seem like they've used decent pigments similar to what they've got in their normal oil-based inks. They've just kind of used a kind of water washable emulsion as a base. And I'll finish that off with a bit more screen wiping, just to really light kind of burnish. Now all the details coming out, you can just touch up little areas like the corners where there's ink still left in there. No, it's a really nice ink, it's got a nice texture. It's quite stiff, as I've said before, but that seems to lend itself to a really controlled, careful wipe. If you take your time, if you're patient with it, you can really get what you want out of it. I'll do my edges. Oh, itchy eye. Contact lenses. Terrible. And I always like to finish off with a little bit of retrosage, just like Paul Atkins and Brian Hodgkins showed me for Camberwell. I'm not sure if it does anything, kind of looks cool though. I think, if I'm honest, you can see when I tissue wipe, the blacks went slightly grey in the aqua tinted areas where I pushed the ink down into the depths of the plate, and this kind of just tickles it to come back up again, so the blacks start rising out a bit more and the image appears darker again on the plate surface, more in contrast. That should just about do it. So while I take my gloves off, I've been fairly positive about these Charbonnel inks so far. The downside to them is, as with all the other water washable inks, that when you soak your paper, you have to soak your paper, you have to dry it and blot it quite thoroughly before you print with it, otherwise there's a high risk of the ink bleeding and feathering on the print when you pull it off of the press. which can completely ruin your image. So it's kind of a balance. You have to, I've been blotting paper there for about 10-15 minutes while I've been wiping this, making sure it's really thoroughly dried. Good old mangle press. Right, couldn't see that, could you? That's better. Right. So yeah, I'd recommend them. These inks, Charbonnel Aqua Wash. Better than any other water washable ink on the market at the moment, I think. But there's still that thing about water washable etching inks that if you have to use damp paper for etchings, and water washable and damp paper kind of mean your inks are going to wash away through the print. So they haven't solved that problem yet. I say these are less sensitive than the Caligo and the Aqua inks, a bit more forgiving, but still if your paper's too wet you're going to have trouble with your image. Excellent. Okay, that's not a bad print. I've wiped it a bit too heavy in the spider. Can't really see that. Top bit there. It's always more difficult for me because I'm printing on such shoddy paper anyway. It's like toilet paper. But yeah, Charbonnel Aqua Wash inks. I reckon 8 out of 10. So I thought I should probably also show you the water washableness of these. So here we are in the kitchen. Just a tap, and after it runs under the water for a bit, the inky plate starts to all wash off. Comes off nice and easy, which is great. A little bit of washing up liquid as well. Tissue. And that's all the residue off, that simple. No white spirit, no vegetable oil or none of that nonsense, just water, a bit of soap. There we go, nice and clean. So yeah, does what it says in the tin.